Are we part of a system? Are we actually placed in some kind of system that is limiting our potential? Well, of course we are. In fact, this system is mostly self-made by humanity. That's even stranger if you think about it. It's not so much that others are necessarily keeping us limited forever and ever, for all of eternity. It is that we started to believe and obey more and more of the limitations we perceive through the senses and basing our potential off of that. Now, this is a very seemingly complicated issue at first, but it is actually very simple once you can kind of bring it down to the level through which you can perceive it all clearly, which is just to know that everything that we perceive are labels. Labels of what we have decided things would be and mean to us. That is why I wanted to talk about a quote from the Matrix and kind of expand on it, because it can perhaps help someone out there see through the matrix in which they are currently existing. So this quote goes as follows, where Morpheus says to Neo, "The Matrix is a system. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it." Now, the Matrix movies are very interesting, because you can clearly tell the writers were inspired by some deep spiritual truths concerning this reality. Just like the main character's name, Neo. If you change the letters around, you get the word one, which is another occult secret. A spiritual secret of oneness, unity, infinite awareness is one and united with everything. There is no distance, time or space. Separation is an illusion created by your body and physical senses. Now, life existence is built up out of infinite frequencies. It goes on and on. Most people, when they lose a loved one, don't realize they can still communicate with that person through other frequencies. Your dreams at night are one such frequency range. People say, "Oh, I dreamed of a person that passed away, but it must not mean anything. It was a dream, it must be fake." Not really. In fact, it is through that frequency range of dreams that the dead can show themselves to you, so you know that death doesn't even exist. They simply moved on to another frequency range that is currently imperceptible to your physical senses. That's all. I've spoken to numerous people who were dead and gone to our physical senses, yet showed up on different frequencies when my body was asleep, so my consciousness can actually shift realms altogether. This is one of those occult truths most humans don't know about, but to have this knowledge can expand your awareness beyond the matrix of physicality. Just hearing me say this won't be of much value. It can give you comfort, perhaps, but once you gain this awareness for yourself, it will be all the more useful. When someone that you loved has passed away, just ask to speak to them next time you fall asleep. It might happen instantly or perhaps another night, but someday you will have a marvelous dream, which, remember, is being aware on a different frequency range than physical life, in which you actually saw them and had a meaningful conversation. You will awake from that dream wondering if it was all true, but can also sense that it was a beautiful interaction nonetheless. Don't deny yourself the experience by dismissing it, but rather embrace the magnificence of it all. Humanity at large has thrown itself into limitations by believing in the physical side to the exclusion of anything else. You and I can break the spell by focusing our attention on the very things that exist beyond this earthly matrix. These insights, this divine love, comes into our awareness through our heart, the intuition of the heart. I write and speak everything I do from the heart and not from my brain, by painstakingly thinking about what words to use in order to speak. The words flow from deeper sides of my own consciousness that knows much more than the superficial side of me can ever do. And it's this superficial, egoic side of ours that keeps us stuck in a self-created prison of limitations. So let's go back to the quote. The Matrix is a system, Neo. Now what is this system? It is the giant matrix of physical existence with all its labels. Your infinite awareness has been drowned under a ton of self-made labels that keep us limited. We think we are a man or a woman, a certain age, a certain race. You have a certain income bracket. We think we are poor or rich, not successful or we may be. We are lonely or not. The labels are enormous, and as long as these labels control your consciousness, then the Matrix, this system of physicality, has you under its control. And when you're inside of this Matrix, you look around, what do you see? You see people mostly obsessed with their own egos and physical selves. They take it so serious they would even get violent to defend that side of themselves. But yet that physical side is temporary and can't provide anything useful if it comes to true spiritual knowledge. It only provides knowledge about the finite world around us, in which we currently exist. People are so obsessed with the labels, their job, their status, and that is what we see when we look closely at this matrix of physicality. Now these are the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But I cannot save you if you are not open-minded. If the only thing you believe to be true is based on sense perception right here and now in front of you. If that is the case, you will make many errors in observations concerning this life, because your senses will tell you, for example, my dear mother has died. She committed suicide. Oh, how great is this pain and suffering. God, why did this have to happen? I wish I could have helped you, Mom. The literal minded side of ourselves would cry out in despair, for its eyes are telling you that something bad has happened. But we want to break free from the matrix, and in order to do so, we must remember that our eyes can never show us the totality of infinity from which we sprang and all are still part of. The matrix blinds you. Physicality leads us astray if we don't watch out. So we are trying to save you, but we can only do it if you're ready to admit certain truths, and one of them we have just revealed to you. You see, the idea that the eyes can only see physicality is also interesting, because at the same time they say you don't really see with your eyes but through your eyes, and you see with the brain, or at least the brain decodes this reality. Now when you are asleep at night you can perceive a so-called dream realm. With what? What are you using in order to see it? Well, certainly not your physical eyes. But yet you see a world that appears just as solid as the one you currently experience physically speaking. Are you ready to break open your mind? As long as people refuse to look beyond the temporary physical illusion of what they appear to be, they become like an enemy, but not truly. We are all one. But what makes it harmful is that we are allowing our minds to be boxed in because the masses believe only in physicality and not in anything spiritual. They might have some deep sense there must be more to life than this physical stuff, but they just can't wrap their heads around it, and in their ignorance they try to force others to not stand out, to mock the ones who preach something that is beyond the matrix, that indicates a greater reality that they have never perceived for themselves. To go along with such limited ideas based purely on sense perception is allowing an invisible enemy to limit your awareness of being to three-dimensional space, also known as the Matrix. Most people are not ready to be unplugged, because to awaken to your infinite self means to take total responsibility for yourself. To actually admit to yourself, shit, I've been wasting many years believing in nonsense, in limiting ideas. I even tried to convince others that they were wrong when they said we have eternal life. What have I done? I could have done better. I said this or that. All of this stuff confronts us on this path of awakening from the dream. But the good news is that it's not really as terrible as it appeared. Your fears are unnecessary. You are infinite awareness having a human experience, and in your temporary ignorance you accidentally let your physical self control your infinite self. If you are ready to be unplugged from your ego, then you can expand and see the truth for yourself. Are you ready for this? Only you know the answer to that question. Most people are so blinded by their phantom physical self that they will fight to protect it. You said something bad about me? I'll fuck you up. And on it goes. The spiral of the sleepwalkers on this planet. If you are infinite awareness and they are infinite awareness, what are we doing to each other? Remember, there must be infinite perceptions to perceive this world. If their point of view is different than yours, there is no need to fight each other, but to rather consider if theirs has any validity to you, and if not, just dismiss it and go on with your own eternal journey. That is your actual life. People start fighting each other over all kinds of nonsense. That's why all these wars and chaos exist. But I am also aware that wars are a good way for money to flow in this dimension as well. It's pretty disturbing, I know. But again, if we all truly knew we're all part of the same infinite awareness having this current physical journey, well then it shouldn't matter what others are doing. Then we could more easily respect and give each other freedom to do and be who we are, who they are, etc. As slaves to the Matrix, we don't do this. We feel we have to fight and perhaps even force others to accept our point of view. And so you have the non-stop religious fused wars and attacks on their fellow humans. What a giant shit show to behold. They are also deeply blinded by the labels. They don't even remember anything from beyond this realm about themselves, let alone others. We are all part of one infinite source, consciousness, that has thrown itself into all kinds of forms through different dimensions by the use of divine imagination. Currently we experience a dimension of time and space, but higher dimensions reveal there is no time or space. Everything is connected and one. The Matrix has made us blind. Set yourself free so you may experience the true joy infinity has in store for you. You can take my words or just dump these words for all I care. I'm simply sharing what is being revealed to me from deeper parts of consciousness, awareness. That is what happens if you start to break down the mind matrix in which you were imprisoned. Ask yourself, who are you? What are you? What were you before you were born? Can you answer the question? Go and seek out the answer, not in this physical domain, but in the deeper spiritual domain of your own heart that receives guidance directly from the source beyond all of creation. That is how you break free from slavery to this physical dimension. That is when you will start to remember you are awareness, having certain experiences on this planet and in other dimensions while asleep and after death. How glorious to know the truth that shall set you free. You see, this sets us all free. For the way you focus your awareness determines the very things you will experience, not only on this planet but far beyond the grave. That is how you will find your way back to the kingdom of infinity, where all things are yours, and no slaving out a living is needed. That was all part of the three-dimensional journey. Thank God, it's only temporary. Do you remember this? Nothing is either good or bad except our thinking makes it so. That's a famous quote. But we can also look at it from this angle. Nothing is either good or bad except our perception makes it so. No matter how bad or hopeless a situation appears, change your perception about it. Perceive it from the angle of who you really are. Infinite awareness, and then look at whatever was bad and see how insignificant it becomes in the bigger picture of infinity. Don't take this physical matrix serious with all its weird experiences of separation, being limited, being hurt. All these labels that limit your mind and awareness about who you truly are. It's all temporary and therefore should not have any control over you at all. So what will you become free of? Free from what? Mind matrix bullshit labels that keep most of humanity in bondage and ignorance of who they really are behind their own persona. As long as you believe yourself to be purely physical, the matrix has you in its grasp. And once you remember there's more to you than meets the eyes based on spiritual awareness, then the matrix loses control over you and you can regain your true freedom, the freedom of infinity, of infinite awareness, your true home. Ultimately, you learn to work together with your ego, your phantom self, in this dimension, in spite of the matrix. It might cry out, "Please save me from my troubles." And you, as infinite awareness, shall feel with all your heart, I will not only save you, I shall set you free from all the illusions that have made you suffer for so long. In that moment you have both perceived and felt the truth of who you really are beyond the mask of your own ego, the very thing this physical matrix is hiding from all of us. You are infinite awareness. Now let us remember again that awareness is a form of energy, and in this apparently solid world of ours, our bodies cannot move through objects. They clash with each other because they are all vibrating on their own frequencies. If the frequency in question is not dense enough, it cannot pass through solid objects. We experience this as touching or hitting something solid. As the first movie said, understand, it is not the spoon that is bending, it is you. There is no spoon. Our awareness is not bound to this frequency range forever. It is because of our physical bodies we experience this illusion, but in reality our awareness operates outside of time and space itself. That explains why it can be anywhere and everywhere instantly, and how it can manifest and demanifest things at will if you were to be aware on that frequency beyond the body. We have clear proof that our awareness is not truly bound by this illusion of time and space. But if we don't believe in it and instead succumb to the reality of our physical body and that what it shows us, we are under the spell of the Matrix yet again. The truth is that this entire universe exists within you, and you lower the frequency of your consciousness to the density of time and space reality, and now you are aware of it. That's all. Sometimes you are aware of so-called dream worlds, which means you have adjusted your frequency, and so you become aware of totally different realities. If you can grasp that the universe exists within you and you lowered yourself energetically to this domain, then you can see why the matrix of time and space and being separated from things is an illusion. Did you know if your awareness was bound by the illusion, was really created by the illusion, you could never die? You would have to go on and on, physically speaking, because your awareness was permanently stuck here. But in reality, we do move up and down the frequency scale. The problem is, if this happens unconscious and without knowledge, most people once they die might feel confused in some way. They look for guidance from other beings in those realms, and they may just so happen to suggest you should give another physical life a shot. Perhaps this time you will reach enlightenment, which is a popular concept in current day age spirituality. But those beings that suggest it can very well be compared to the agents we see in the Matrix movies. The gatekeepers wanting you to remain stuck and not discover who you really are beyond the illusion. I know it might be spooky, but we all know this world is full of psychopaths and people that have dark interests. Just by being dead and in the astral world does not mean they suddenly disappear. There too you can encounter such beings with malevolent intent. So therefore we want to make sure we take the time before we die, physically, to actually grasp as much as we can of our true nature, as we can, so we can take that knowledge with us into the other realms of being. Instead of dying in ignorance, we die with knowledge and have prepared ourselves beforehand. Compare it with going on some random trip. Perhaps you want to go camping. Would you go blindly into the wilderness without preparation? You could, if that gives you some kind of thrill. But generally speaking, we would at least try to be smart about it. Treat your own death and journey in the same manner. Don't live and die physically under the spell of the Matrix of Physicality, it being the only thing you ever grasped because of body and sense perceptions. There's way more to you as the infinite awareness that you really are. If you can perceive this, then you can break yourself free from the Matrix, and that is what this video was all about. To hint at it, to give you some ideas that if you contemplate them for yourself and analyze them in your own journey, you might see some cracks appear in that prison cell in which we are all placed, a prison of the mind.